Good evening, everyone. I'm Adriano de Souza, and welcome to the AES Sports Legacy channel. Our program, Vivências do Sport, has in mind to inform, to debate, to promote, and to entertain. This program has talk show format that talks about relevant subjects such as education, sports, culture, politics, economy, and so on. To maintain the quality of this show, on this evening, we have on backstage giving us a great technical support, giving all information and taking questions from our audience is Eder Mota. To present this show with me this evening is Adriano de Souza. As always, with the idea of offering the best, this evening would not be different. This evening, we are honored to have the great opportunity to receive on AES Sports Legacy channel to chat with us on Vivências do Sports program, an extraordinary man faced with outstanding life experience, with a unique sensitivity that has contributed significantly to make a difference in sport in the world. He's a CEO of Miami Fitness and Wellness Group, board executive director of Word Sensei Organization, VP District Operation at LA Fitness and Bali Total Fitness, sports player operation at Miami Marlins Baseball. We have the great pleasure of introducing to you all Anthony Quinones, who has made a difference in the way people see life. Welcome, Anthony Quinones.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Before we start, I would like to remind you to support our channel. Please subscribe the channel, activate the bell, give that like, that is very important. Share on your social media networking, inviting friends because there is and still time to watch this wonderful show. Tony, good evening again. How are you?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you guys doing?
Well, nice, man. Nice to have you here and put you in a situation, It's going to be fun. Well, it is a great satisfaction to have you here with us. Please, if you're at home, feel free to say what you think. Okay? Well, I have the first question for you, man. It's not that hard, but I want you to tell not only to me, but to us and to our audience, who is Tony Quinones and where were you born?
Well, in today's date, Tony Quinones, or rather, you can call me Anthony or Tony. Most people know me as Tony in the business world. My background, I was born and raised in New York City to Latin parents. During my adolescent years, I moved to the state of Florida, got my education here in the state of Florida. And basically from there, just found the fitness industry, fell in love with it, and tried to do as much as I can to make a change in it.
Nice.
Awesome. It's pretty nice, Tony. Well, you already gave a little bit the idea of the scenario that you were come from, where you go. But to explain to our audience, how did you start your sports career? Or what sport or sports did you play growing up?
Well, actually, I started out in baseball. I started out in baseball as a young kid. I actually didn't make my high school baseball team, sadly to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, believe it or not, I didn't get an opportunity to play high school baseball.
It wasn't that good, right?
I wasn't that good, buddy. I'm sorry to tell you, I wasn't that good.
Oh.
But and it's interesting because I had the physicality of it. I just didn't have the tools to how would you say, to participate at a higher level, let's say. With that, I went into the martial arts. I studied the martial arts with the same organization that you mentioned prior, which is the World Sensei Organization, which is an international karate tournament that's all over the world. I have obtained at this point a 6th-degree black belt with them. And I spent many, many years competing, many years training, many years teaching the martial arts. I also did a little bit of boxing, for a little bit of time. I didn't like the boxing too much, and you'd be surprised. It wasn't the physicality of it, is I didn't enjoy running. So in order to be a great boxer, you got to run, right?
Oh, for sure.
I wasn't with the running, my friend, to be honest with you. So,
All right,
yeah,
because
that's pretty
you
much
need
where I started.
especially to work to work the drills of footworking.
There you go. Yep. I didn't enjoy it.
All
I
right.
know you couldn't make the baseball team, but you made it on karate.
I
So
made it in karate. Yes, sir.
it means that you have this sports thing on your blood. Well, Tony, can you tell us what were the reasons that made you choose the academic career of sports management to study?
Well, actually, like all of us, when we're going to school, we tend to find these little jobs along the way. And mostly what I found were jobs that were forcing me to sit down. They were forcing me to be in an uncomfortable state of mind. In reality, I wanted to be outside. I just wanted to be doing something that was joyful and fun. I loved sports my whole life. I wasn't a great academic student initially. I didn't have fun in the classroom. I had more fun being outside. And I saw the opportunity to go into, the fitness industry. And I said, why not? Why not? It is, it's been great. And the reality of it is, if I have the opportunity to wear shorts and a sweatsuit every day, I would prefer to do that than to wear a suit.
Well, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yes, but Tony, we know that the sport has been part of your life, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
How was the impact for you to have contact with the professional world of the sports?
Wow. Like I said, initially, when I studied the martial arts, it gave me the opportunity to travel, right? So with the travels, we went to many competitions in many different countries, and we had the opportunity to compete at a high level, in state, nationally, different tournaments and stuff like that. And when I saw the opportunity, we're talking about basically in the early 90s, right? When I came out of secondary, which is high school here in the United States, when I got out of high school, I was looking for an opportunity to do something that gave me the opportunity to be outside. When I was going to school, I always had an interest in exercise science. Always enjoyed on, how the physical body worked, and I guess that came from the martial arts. Studying the martial arts, you had to understand how your body works to be a good competitor. I think that gave me the vision. Well, I don't want to study medicine, but are there any other avenues in which I could pursue that would give me the opportunity to use my body? At that point, exercise science was beginning to become a known course of description for work. Uh, at that moment, I looked around and I said, wow, what is exercise science? Upon my research, I found that there was a degree in sports management. I was lucky it was in the city that I lived in, which was South Florida at the time, and the school was St. Thomas University. St. Thomas University was one of the premier schools to start athletic administration and sports management. Till today, I would dare to say it's hard pressed to find an individual who is in the senior management role that is not a St. Thomas grad. That's how big the program was. It has grown so much over the years. I really believe if you were to take your time and go into every sports organization, definitely in the US, and I would dare to say internationally, you will find a St. Thomas graduate within those organizations. So that, gave me the opportunity.
Wow, this is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the vision that you had before to follow that way, the path
Hmm.
is interesting because sometimes we used to talk to people like in Brazil, many people, they try to follow the football dream, the soccer dream, but this is not for everybody, and they don't see other different path to follow.
Right.
And
Yes.
this is nice because in the early age you could see the opportunities that you could have in the future in
Right.
the sports industry. Nice, nice.
Hmm.
Oh, come on, Tony. To create something special is huge in anybody's life.
Yeah.
Tennis is one of the most important sports in the world. Can you tell us and to our audience how it was for you to be part of the creation and organization to one of the most important tennis events on the planet, the Miami Open?
Yeah. That was a real eye opener that gave me the opportunity to see things on a global aspect, right? American football, American baseball is actually two of the biggest sports in this country, correct? But tennis is not. So to be able to be involved in a tournament, which, as you mentioned, was the fifth largest at the time, I'm not sure if it still is. It might still be the fifth largest tournament. It gave me a global vision on sport because when we were building that event, I remember the owner of the company at the time. Back then, the company was Lipton. It was called Lipton Sports. It was owned by a company called IPC in association with Miami-Dade County, which built this program. So basically, IPC was the governing body, and the city provided the location for the event. Um, the event usually was put together, believe it or not, it's a yearly process to develop the tournament. But to build the operations of the event is a 6-week operation. So basically, that whole event is put together in 6 weeks. So the opportunity to work in an environment where as you're walking through the grounds of the event, there are so many different languages being spoken that you're constantly looking around saying, where are they from? Where are they from? And it really gives you an understanding of how big sport is in the world. So it was a huge impact. Gave me a clear vision on what sports and how big sports had become at that time.
Well, you were saying this is so interesting because right now you are showing something that sometimes people they don't understand outside of United States that
Right.
how you guys in United States are so focused only in the sports in United States, not only outside of the United States to the rest of the world, because we can see some examples like Greg Popovich on the San Antonio Spurs. Phil Jackson bringing people all around the world, and sometimes the players, the teammates, they have a difficult to associate with the guys to have a very good relationship because they don't understand different minds.
Correct.
And you are saying basically the same thing because you grew up in the United States, you live in the United States, but tennis brought you the whole world to you, not you went out to the world.
Correct.
This is huge. But Tony, to be straight, did the Miami Open create others opportunity for you?
I think it did. It's the same. It's the same way as you can ask a kid, does an education give you an opportunity? Of course it does. It opens doors for you, and I think the fact that when I went on multiple interviews with some of these larger corporations thereafter, I think the fact that they saw that I was part of an international organization or an international project, I gotta believe. I don't know for sure, but I have to believe. I have to believe that it did. When people look and they see that you've had the opportunity to deal with people from all over the world and you can vision things, not just on a micro level, but on a macro level, I think it's got to impress people to give you opportunities.
For sure it is, because what you are saying is right now we are seeing the world spreading out all of the information through internet.
Yeah,
Everybody's doing what we are doing now, connected through
correct.
internet by some
Correct.
platforms and everything. But how the things will be in the near future to develop business in this same proportion, just like you guys have United States in different places, because
Correct.
it's overseas right now.
Right.
I used to say that the basketball and baseball, MLB and NBA, they are not American sports anymore. It's international sports
They
because
are. Yeah.
you have a lot of international players playing those leagues. You know, I think football will take a little time to get in that level because we don't have American football all around the world like baseball and like basketball. But and also NHL will take this time. You know, but I will tell you that MLB and NBA are international sports right now. It's not a American sport anymore.
Well, I'll add to that. I think the NHL is. You got to remember, the NHL is probably the largest sport in Canada, number one, right? So that's now we're encompassing all of North America, right? It's not just the U.S. We're inviting Canada into the conversation. Then when you look at all the Scandinavian countries, they're all soccer. I mean, all hockey. When you look at the European nations, there are a lot of hockey nations there also. So I think the NHL is really, really a key player now. Um, Baseball, as you spoke, yes, and I see football. Football, the difference is, I think, with football is football has a big base around the world. The NFL every year plays in Europe, right? They have one or two games every year in London in Wembley Stadium. They also have it in Mexico also every year. So I think it is beginning to grow. I just believe that there's not much access for children to play the game in other countries at this point.
Maybe let's put some ideas on our minds. Do you
Right.
think that is an opportunity because Brazil is a virgin country on the sports area?
Right.
Do you think that is possible for you and us to connect some people that we have in mind to try to develop something in around this way, to build something on the football or in hockey or something like that, because it's totally different
Yeah,
and it is an opportunity, because when you have a virgin area you have an opportunity to grow up everything.
that is correct. I do believe there's an opportunity. I do think there is. To
How
answer your
can
question, yes, I do.
Well, how can we move forward on this to go to do one step ahead to make the things happen? How do you
Well,
think?
no, starting with the NFL. The NFL has a program. I think it's called Play 100 or something to that extent. I'm not precise. And basically, what it is it's giving the kids an opportunity to play the game, and they believe they want to keep the kids outdoors, right? So I think, like anything, if you take the time and you get with, let's say, the NFL or the NHL and say, look, we believe that there is an opportunity to grow your sport in this country, and we would like your help. I really do believe, I think you would get that assistance. I really do. I think if there was a group here in the US and a group in Brazil that could work together, I do believe that there is an opportunity. Look, if you look at Major League Baseball is all over Latin America, as Adriano could attest to that, right? That started in a conversation, I would
Yes,
presume. Somebody said, hey, look, there's a lot of great talent for baseball in Latin America. There's a lot of great talent in the Caribbean. I think it's something that we should pursue. I
absolutely.
I don't have to really think hard pressed on it, but I gotta believe there are a great amount of great athletes coming out of Brazil. So, in any
Absolutely.
sport, you need an athlete, right? In any sport, you need a good athlete, and you can teach any good athlete anything.
Yes, you are totally right.
Tony, I know that with the degree that you have uh, you have opportunity to work with many different sports. Besides tennis, I would like to know, and how was for you to work simultaneously with two great American sports, baseball and American football?
Well, it was a childhood dream. Like I mentioned earlier, I love playing baseball. So the opportunity to work at that level was, I can't explain. It was just fun. Baseball every day was fun to go to the park and be around the players. I had the opportunity to work directly with the players, so it was fun. It was quite exciting. Then on the other side, I worked with football for a while. Football was fun, even more fun, because football, the guys, they're just aggressive and outgoing, and just when you're 20 years old and you have that opportunity to be around guys that play in their sport and what they love at that level, it was quite exciting.
Wow. But let me ask you a little question. If you
Sure.
can explain why in US they use the name of ballpark for a field, because just to explain to our audience, to give them the opportunity to understand, because for them, oh, it's not a field because they are learning English, or they say, oh, it's not a field, why ballpark?
Well, the reality of it is dollars and cents, plain and simple. I want to say the Europeans, um, European football, I think for many years, if you looked on their jerseys, they had name of companies, right? I think the U.S. is actually behind the European world. If you looked at all of the big teams, the Inter Milans, the Barcelonas, they all had major corporations with their names on their jerseys, right? I just think the Americans took it to the next step, right? Um, if you go to any ballpark in the U.S., it's not the name of the team. It's not the name of the city. It has a major corporation on front of it, whether it's American Airlines, whether it's Loan Depot. They all have learned that business is business. And it doesn't matter if it's in a sports setting or if it's in an office setting, it's business.
Yeah, but I think he
The
was
people
asking
call,
you.
I
I
think,
think he was asking to you, what's the difference to call when you invite someone, let's go to the baseball field and let's go to the ballpark. Do you know why do you have this difference?
No, I I just think it's wordplay. I think it's just the way that they use the frame. There's no that I'm aware of. There's no specific difference between the world baseball field or ballpark. I personally don't know if there is.
all right. But what you're saying in Brazil, they are starting to call this naming rights
Okay.
for the arenas or for the soccer fields. Right now, they have a major companies
Okay.
in front of that, just like you have a Delta Center in Chicago, you have it was Chesapeake in Cleveland. All of the companies, they are into the arenas or the stadiums and everything. Just why you said they have this name behind, and it's a business. Just why
Yeah.
you have
Yeah,
this
but
difference.
like you said, you were talking that okay, business, right? You're talking. You said that the Americans are behind of the Europeans, but I think that the way that Americans build up the sports here in West, they were more concerned and they were more focused on build the name of the franchise. That's why they they were not interested to have a big company name in front of the jerseys. But right now, I think like 3 or 2 years ago, NBA started to do something like
Yeah.
that. But you don't see that
NBA
big
is doing it now.
because
Yes.
yeah, you don't see that big because nothing could be bigger than the name of the franchise, But NBA already has like kind of sponsors on the
On the
shirts,
jerseys. Yeah.
yeah, on the jersey, and I think it's changing, man,
Yeah.
because they know that it's another opportunity to make money. I
Yes.
think we'll touch baseball, football, and for the next years.
Yeah,
I'm
I agree.
100%.
I agree.
All right, Tony, you had the experience to work in simultaneously in two different sports, in American sports. What were the positions that you held in these jobs?
In sport,
Yeah,
yeah.
and in a
In,
baseball and a football.
yeah. In baseball and football, I was starting out my career. I was just getting done through school. I started out as an intern with both locations, and then it turned into a full-time position. I did those. I actually, with the Miami Dolphins, I worked in the ticketing department, and I worked with player operations, where I worked directly with the players. When I worked with the Miami Dolphins, I worked directly with player services. So I spent most of the time working out, helping the coaching staff. I was helping the equipment staff. I had the opportunity to work in multiple departments to help different departments get their jobs done, pretty much.
All operations,
Yes, basic
including
operations.
based on operations. In the
Yes, sir.
Florida Marlins, the same job that
Yep.
you have?
Actually, it was the same job. In Florida Marlins, I did a little bit more. I started out in ticket sales, and then from ticket sales, I moved into more the operation side.
Can you tell us how you worked on the ticket sales? How is possible for United States one Tuesday afternoon put 30,000 people on the stadium? Because for Latin America, it's almost impossible to see that. On a
Yeah.
Tuesday afternoon, everybody is on the job. How the people are going and then you have 30,000 people watching the game?
It's I think it's a passion for the sport. I think people love sports in this country. I really do. I think sports is a big part of most families' daily life, whether your children are involved during it, depending on the city you come from. If you come from a big city like New York, sports are highly publicized, right? And in a small town, if you're from a small town in, let's say, I don't know, Missouri, or you're in a small town in Chicago, one of the outskirts suburbs of the city, the only thing that you have outside of work and school was sports. So it's the only activity that you have to follow behind your sports franchise and give you something to do. And I think it's just sport is a part of the American life. I really do believe that.
Awesome.
Wow, it's very interesting because this is the way. That's why sports is so big here in United States. There's no other way.
Yeah,
You have to follow some sports. Well,
yeah.
Tony. Well, after having an experience with the professional sports, beside tennis, baseball, and American football, what led you to follow the fitness path?
Oh, I think the easiest way would be economics. Um, we're talking about in the early 90s, right? In the early 90s, sports was big, but from an industry that provided a lot of financial opportunities for those with the fitness background. It wasn't big at the time, right? So basically, what I'm saying by that is sports management, athletic administration, exercise science, they were new industries, but they weren't highly populated, right? So many organizations didn't spend much money with people with those types of degrees. You basically had a degree in management, you had a degree in finance, you had a degree in marketing to get those better paying jobs. So when I saw the opportunity that fitness had on the world, and it didn't matter if it was with a professional baseball team or football team, the opportunity that you could take fitness worldwide was intriguing to me. I had the opportunity at that point to establish myself with one of the largest companies at the time and work my way up. So at the end of the day, it came down to dollars and cents. I was looking for an opportunity that was going to provide me with the income that I was looking for to provide a better future for myself.
Wow.
Well, Tony, this is good what you were saying, because you said so sports science and a lot of many opportunities that they were creating at the time, back the time to the early 90s. And this is what we don't have yet in Latin America as a position, but right now we are talking about governance in the companies. We are talking about boarding staffs. We are talking about many companies and the teams and the society that they are converting themselves as professional, but they don't have an idea how sports works. And just we have right now a lot of people trying to achieve these professions, especially in the United States. If you see, there's a lot of people from everywhere in the world studying there the sports management, sports science, and everything that you guys created 30 years ago.
Wow, being
Right.
honest, I think the sports management was created around the 60s.
60s, the first school, because we had an opportunity to have on this program a gentleman. He's a Brazilian, but he was one of the guy who worked to manage the progress field for several years.
Yeah, but this is really new in Brazil. Sports management is something that's really new, and I
Right.
think most of the people they have no idea what exactly sports management means. You
Right.
know?
Well, I think that we are changing, but we need to bring much more information. How big is this sports industry for the people? Because they are not aware how big it is
Right.
yet. But any beginning in a new job or a new area is not an easy thing to adjust to it. Now, can you let us know how hard it was for you to work in the fitness industry, especially in the beginning?
Um, it wasn't hard. It wasn't
It wasn't.
because it wasn't for me. It really wasn't, and I'll tell you why. I was an athlete prior to that. I love sport, um, and I love what I did. This is the bottom line. And I think it's a great phrase that people say, find what you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. That was it for me. I was young, I was fit, I loved being around sport. It gave me a lot of opportunity to be in a relaxed environment, not wearing a suit and tie every day. So for me, it was fun. It was fun. I didn't find it difficult. I I came into the fitness industry with a little bit of business experience, right? Where a lot of the people that were in the fitness industry at that time were probably individuals that just were fitness people who turned into fitness people, fitness business people. Let me correct myself. So basically, in the early 80s, if you were in the fitness industry, you were somebody who was an instructor, a trainer, a bodybuilder, right? And those were the people that were running the business. They really didn't have any fitness knowledge. They were just trainers, bodybuilders, and athletes. They really didn't have the fitness knowledge. So when you had somebody like myself that had the opportunity of being in an international organization with tennis, two professional organizations in sport, I think it gave me that opportunity to propel a lot faster than my counterparts at that time.
Well, in the beginning, we had an opportunity to listen that you worked for different companies.
Correct.
And can you tell us, into our audience, which companies you worked within the fitness world? Because it's very large, but it's not so large like people understand. You have major companies, maybe two or three around the world that they hold everything, all of the market.
Right, right. Um, well, when I initially went in the fitness industry, I started out with a company called Bally Total Fitness. At the time, Bally Total Fitness was the largest fitness company in the United States. Um, wow, was that an experience? With Bally Total Fitness, I started out basically at the top. I started as an operations manager. And as I explained to you, most of the people that were working with me didn't have the experience or the fitness management, the professional business aspect that I had. So within the first year of me working in Bally Total Fitness, I got promoted to a district manager, which I had the opportunity to oversee multiple locations in different parts of the U.S. With that, I did that basically with Bally Total Fitness for a period of 10, 11 years, which then I moved on to another company, which now currently purchased Bally Total Fitness several years back. And that was probably the biggest health and fitness company in not South Florida, in the United States. And that's LA Fitness. I basically held the same position, which I went into, which became vice president of sales. And basically we oversaw personal training, membership sales, club operations, everything that encompassed running those facilities. I had the opportunity to oversee the construction of new facilities, the construction of remodels, developmentation, sales, marketing, advertising, and operations.
Well, you said that LA Fitness now incorporated Bali Total Fitness.
Correct. They did a buyout several years back, in the mid 2000s. They bought out Bally Total Fitness. Correct.
So it means that the LA Fitness is the largest fitness company in the country.
Yep. Now there are other companies that might be larger. There are other companies, fitness companies, but they're not the same. LA Fitness is what they would call a big box facility, right? A big box facility is a facility that probably is bigger than, I would say, about 35,000 square feet American. So most of the LA Fitness clubs, the smallest one would probably be maybe 30,000. Now, there are other companies that might have more locations, but they're not of that magnitude of size in facility. So basically, LA Fitness is quite a huge building. It's a big business. We're talking anywhere from 30 to 60,000 square feet. Their competition, which I wouldn't really say is competition because they're a smaller part of the business, and they probably have facilities that are not any larger than maybe 20,000 square feet. So when you look at the membership base, I would dare to say that I think LA Fitness has a bigger per unit, per facility.
Okay. So Tony, do you confirm that your adaptation in the fitness world, it was easy because of your passion of sports in sports industry, or there was a different reason? Do you make that do you make that adaptation easy, like you said?
Well, like I said, one, it was the love of the sport, and two, the fact that I had through my previous experiences, they gave me the experience to be more well-rounded in fitness, besides fitness, but in business. Working with those other organizations gave me more experience than my counterparts at that time. My counterparts in the fitness industry, majority of them were not college graduates. Most of them were, like I said, they were personal trainers, bodybuilders, and just fitness people. They were not business people. So the business transformed quite quickly when the opportunity was shown that there's a huge opportunity for financial gain.
Well, this is the key that we are talking about, because your mindset from a professional sports world, you brought to the fitness world something new that they didn't have at the time.
Right.
And after that, they created some opportunities that they never had before. Am I correct?
Correct.
And this is the difference that they don't understand maybe around the world, because look, in 2019, the fitness market in Brazil, they generated in not only profits, but they generate $2.1 billion in Brazil, only in Brazil, being the fourth market in the world.
Right.
That means that if we have this idea and this professional mind that you told about, we could multiple, triple, or 4 times more this amount.
Correct.
Wow, we are losing money, sir.
Yes.
No, not losing.
No, if
don't
you
know,
were
we
not
don't know.
if you were not making, someone is taken.
Well, or you have no idea how to make this kind of money. That's the thing. So if you
That's
don't know
correct.
how to make this kind of money, in your mind, you're not losing anything. You know what I mean?
No,
So,
in your mind you're not losing, but every time that I'm wasting opportunity, what I'm doing.
but how? Well, this is something that we've been discussing, and how can you make this interesting to be a new thing in the country or new trend, and to change the culture? You know, we
Yeah.
have something on our hands, but we are talking about cultural and also people mindset. This is the two hardest thing to change. The
It's
culture
true.
and the mindset,
It is so true.
because you have to break this barrier, man, to make that the new thing happens.
Yeah. Well, I hope to be part of that in the future with some of the things
Oh,
that I have
that's
planned
why we
within
are
the
working together to
Brazil.
make this
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
We need to start it right now, because right
Yeah.
now is the moment.
Yeah. I don't have many words to say, but I see great potential in the Brazilian market. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Like in baseball, like 15 years ago when the Tampa Bay Rays decided to go to Brazil, it was because they saw the potential, but the Brazilians they didn't realize that. So you know what I mean?
Right.
How hard it is, because people that come from outside, they see, they know that there's opportunity, and the people that are inside, they don't realize that.
Yeah,
They have no idea
I
about it.
agree. I agree.
It's really hard. Tony, education is a learning process to anybody's life. As you know, you are a man with a lot of experience regarding the sports industry. I have a question for you. What did you learn at the fitness business industry? What you really learn about that word?
Basically, I learned fitness is no different than any other world. You know, I think a lot of people believe that fitness um, is a joke. Um, it's kind of funny. One of my friends was a good friend of mine, right? He worked with me for many years. His brother was the mayor of a specific town in the U.S., a big town, and his parents would constantly tell him, "When are you going to get a real job like your brother?" Right? The interesting part is he was making more money than his brother as a mayor, and his parents never even knew how much money he was making. And his parents would say, "You got to get a real job like your brother. You got to give," because they couldn't believe, they couldn't envision that he would go to work in a sweatsuit, or he can go to work in shorts every day and make as much money as his brother that was wearing a suit and tie every day. So, the biggest thing that I learned in fitness, that it was something that was new, it was fresh, and it had a lot of growth potential, because the American culture in the early 90s wasn't accepting the fact that, hey, fitness is big. And I believe that was one of the things that helped propel the educational system with sports administration. And today, I could tell you how many kids that I meet that come up to me and say, "Yeah, I want to study sports management." I go, "Really? That's what I studied." you
So
know, it's
I
come a
have,
long way,
yeah,
my
I have
friend.
another question for you. So
Yeah.
how can you in US normally do to break that barrier, that culture barrier? Because, like you said, like in the 70s, fitness wasn't accepted to the
Right.
people. They didn't understand that fitness could be a great industry. And in baseball, football, in some point, they had to start treating this kind of working on this industry as a business, not only as
Right.
a entertainment.
Right.
You know what I mean. So what is the process that you use to show to the people that it's not only a trained thing, it's a business and there's serious people involved and they want to make that thing big and and bring a lot of money to the country, to the economy. How do you do that?
Well, number one, I think the college and universities did a lot. One, they built a program that wasn't in existence prior to that time frame, right? So most of the schools, if you wanted to get into business world, you had to study a business degree. There wasn't that specialization of sport. You get what I'm saying?
It
So
means
it,
it means
it
if you don't have the right education, you're not gonna make them. It
no,
means
no. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is one of the big impacts that has helped it grow in this country is I have to believe it's the education. What I mean by that is universities have finally come to the realization that business is just not finance. It's just not a corporate structure or major corporations. It's any business. So in that time frame when I was coming up, I think a lot of the universities said we need to do more specialized. For instance, back in that time, you brought out sports administration, athletic administration. Back then, there really wasn't an opportunity for somebody that wanted to go into the hotel business. Now there's hospitality, right? So there's so many different specializations now that have gone into the business world that weren't there previously. So I think that has helped
so.
the
You're
fitness
saying
world.
that the university they were visionary about the business
Yeah,
industry.
well, I think they had no choice. You have to see how much money is being generated when you have a sport and you got one athlete that's making over $400 million. Something's got to be said to the amount of money and revenue that's being generated within that industry.
I'm just making this kind of question for you because,
Yeah.
well, we already tried to go to some universities in Brazil to talk to them about those kind of opportunities, but
Right.
I don't know why even talking about business, they are not that open to bring new things and new trends, new opportunities. You know what I mean? And we could see how hard it is to go through all that. You know what I mean?
Well, to be honest with you, I'd love to be part of that delegation to go before them and explain them, my what sport did for me and many other individuals in which I hold friendships with. I think the opportunity is huge. I think sport is a business. It's a huge business, and I think it is a shame that they're not giving the kid in the future for a lot of those kids to be involved in sport. You have a lot of kids, you mentioned earlier, not every kid has the athletic prowess to play the sport, right? But why can't they be involved in the sport? Why can't they work with one of those organizations that they one day wanted to play for? Why can't they become the president of that organization? Why can't they become a senior executive in one of those organizations? I
in,
think they
in
should have that opportunity.
including to be a referee
Yeah,
as a profession, to be a
that is
referee.
correct. Yes, yeah, you're correct.
People on
Correct.
the staff that make the things happen all the time. We need to prepare these people to be professional,
That is
not to
correct.
be a fan working that sometimes you're gonna lose something. This is the
Right.
idea.
Yeah,
But
Tony.
that's
We have many ideas and we see the opportunities in our country, but we didn't find we didn't find the right people to do that and to help us to build up this kind of things over there. You know what I mean?
yet, yet, but for sure we are getting now. Because Tony, you had an opportunity to be in Brazil twice. And I remember the first time I met you, it was in 2019.
Correct.
and you had the opportunity to check it out about the fitness market at the time. The question I have for you is, what is the potential of this industry in Brazil for possible investments?
Huge.
This is the only word you have? Huge?
Is there another word to use?
Well,
huge potential. Yeah.
huge.
You know, I
What is
saw an
your
opportunity.
concern? You had this opportunity. Please go ahead. And what is your concern with your first impression?
The same thing that you mentioned to me earlier. You said that the Latin culture or the Latin American culture doesn't see sport as a major industry. And I believe when speaking with people that are in the profession, which I had the opportunity of speaking with a multitude amount of people in Brazil, some who were actually presidents of your largest fitness companies, they just didn't see the vision that I was talking about. They weren't prepared for it. And I felt when I was sitting in those meetings and I was having this conversation, I was saying, if they only understood the potential that this country has, me as a businessman and as an entrepreneur, the purpose to go to Brazil was to look at markets that were untapped yet, right? So let's use an analogy. Let's look at it this way. Brazil has many fitness companies. A lot of them are bringing in great revenue, but a lot of them don't understand what the word ancillary services means and how those ancillary services can generate so much more revenue than they could ever fathom for their companies. The opportunity to get other companies involved in their vision. I don't think they see that at this point. With that being said, Miami Fitness and Wellness is looking for investors to build a new concept that we have kind of put together here in the U.S. that's called Level 5. And the purpose of that would to take it to Brazil and show people how it should be done. In going to Brazil, let's make it clear. I didn't go to Brazil once. I went to Brazil twice.
Yes.
Within a year and a half. And that's because I saw a vision. I saw an opportunity to do something there that could be quite special.
Well, it's so interesting because I had an opportunity to hear from Adriano that you stayed in a meeting and only from one little detail, this guy put a little more trust on you because you were wearing one Rolex. This is so upset for me to hear that. And then I would like to, if you can tell us what really happened earlier and after the time that he could see your Rolex in your pulse wearing this watch, just to try to figure out how people manage a business and good business having this kind of view.
Well, I think in many parts of the world, people look at certain items as statured symbols, right? So maybe when he first met me, he probably thought I was just a basic individual, just a guy that was coming to his office with a sales pitch to try to sell him something, which in essence, I was not trying to sell him anything. I was just trying to give him a vision that I saw for his company that could possibly partner up with mine. And I think when I was talking, and I think he had this vision looking at me and started to see the way I was presenting myself, the way I carried myself, and maybe the things that I was wearing projected me at a different status than what he initially had thought. That's the best way probably to look at it.
Wow. And for me, it's so hard to listen to this because how hard our country can change this vision or this path to have a new vision of a new future to grow up in the country, because we have a huge potential, just like you said, there's no other word, but a huge potential to be one of the largest, or maybe sometimes the largest in some areas in the sports industry, but we are lacking of because we have this kind of people managing.
Yeah. It's in the meeting that I had with one of those corporate executives, I was kind of what would be the proper word to use? Surprised that gentleman was running an organization that he was. In the conversations that we had, when you're president of a country, you have to be visionary. You have to be able to see the future. You have to be able to see where you're trying to take that organization. If you don't have that vision, you're in the wrong place. Like, you really have to see where you're trying to go. If you can't see that vision, if you're so caught up in what's going on in front of you today, how's that company going to grow? And when I was offering him different opportunities and different ways to look at the business, he pretty much stopped me and said, wait. We're not ready for that yet. And I was like, wow. Well, we will continue to pursue the opportunities in Brazil. Miami Fitness and Wellness Group will be known one day in Brazil. We're working hard to build that level 5 vision in Brazil, and we're not going to stop till we can make it happen, because I do believe Brazil has great potential in sport and in fitness.
Wow. Tony,
I agree with you.
the Brazilian fitness industry represents 25.5% of the world market, which means that Brazil is in the fourth place behind only the US, Germany, and England. Given the short time you've been in Brazil, you've been there in Brazil, could you tell us, and to our audience, what is lacking in the Brazilian fitness market?
Vision. I mean, that's it.
This is the only point that you were saying to check it out, to say, hey, this is the problem that you have in a country to not be the largest market in the world.
I think it comes. It's not only the people that are in the business. I also believe it's the entrepreneurs. I believe it's the investors. Everyone that I speak to and I present what I'm trying to present in Brazil, they all have the same question. Well, they don't have a good answer for me. And and my belief is, when you have a vision for something, you really have to see how it can be presented. We have done everything within, I think, reason to give them a clear vision of what it is we are trying to accomplish and what we are trying to do. We are not creating something that has not been created already. The concept that we are trying to build, let's say with a level 5, is being done now in the US and around the world. And when I present it to the investors and the executives in the Brazilian market, they just don't understand. And I think it's a shame. And I think it's, once again, it's the lack of understanding that fitness is a huge market around the world. And Brazil has to find their place within that industry.
But what you are saying is so serious, because you had an opportunity to meet executives, presidents, and people from the boards that say in the Brazilian society represents the highest level of people in the business.
Correct.
If they are lacking of understanding for the vision in the future for new business and more profit and everything, we are in trouble as a country. Because these people, they will help the president, the politics, the politicians and everything. They have an influences in the politics, but they have a small mind.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say they have a small mind. I think they just don't see it. Maybe they just don't have the experience, that gives them that opportunity to understand what is trying to be accomplished. like I said to you before, when I first came into the industry, what gave me the opportunity to excel was that I had a world vision, right? I had the opportunity of working with international corporations, that I had the opportunity to see the mindset of different people from around the world. Maybe a lot of these people in these positions just don't have that exposure or experience from an international setting. That's the only way. I wouldn't say that they're small-minded. I just don't believe there's the wrong people in the wrong positions. I think you need to find people that have more of an international
Well,
experience
I
for that.
appreciate your education on me because I gave my words like emotionally speaking because you are
Right.
correct. Because for me, it's too simple to understand this, but I have my experience living in the US, working in the sports industry like a sports agent and doing a lot of things all around the world. And for me, it's too simple because just like you said, we are not creating the wheels. We are not creating and inventing this. It's not a brand new wheel.
Right. Right.
We are doing something that already exists. But
Right.
for me, it's tough to see that the people that manage the country, they have this position. They think that they are super minds, but they are putting the country in a hole.
Yeah.
Tony, sports and education in American society plays very important role. You have a son who plays baseball and you have been following this process for him to achieve his dream, to become an athlete. My question is, in your opinion, how you see this process and what are the pros and cons?
Wow. Well, I think it's every parent's job to give their children the best opportunity to follow their dreams, right? Within reason. Every parent has to give their child hopefully a better life than what they've had, right? with in my situation, I have a son who's quite athletic, loves the sport of baseball, and we've had many conversations. And I said, "Is this your dream? Is this what you want to do?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Dad, this is what I want to do." So me as a dad, I believe it's my job to help him pursue his dreams in any way, shape, or form. The pros, as a parent, I think it's built a stronger bond between me and my son. Um, the fact that I'm with him every day, at practice, at games, at home, at leisure time, talking and trying to help him develop, you know, the skills, mental, physical, to be successful at that sport. Um, the pros, it doesn't get any better than that for a parent, to have that opportunity to be with their child and help them establish a foundation so they can pursue their dreams. The cons to it, um, is quite time consuming. It takes a lot of time, for a kid that wants to be an elite athlete, right? It takes a lot of time. It's, for some parents, and if you look at the Olympics and you look at a lot of these parents that pursue these dreams of their children, they at times have to leave where they live. They have to sell their properties. They have to take out loans. They have to do all kinds of things to provide, the tools for their children to reach those plateaus or platforms in their life. Um, I think the only con that I see that's quite disheartening is, as we're talking about sport and the revenue that's associated with sport, I think a lot of the love for the sport has diminished. I believe a lot of people now, here, especially in the States, are doing things for the wrong reason. I think there's a lot of people that are coaching and running organizations that have to do with children and sport, and they're using it as a source of income rather than a passion. And I remember as a kid, when we went to secondary school, which is high school here in the U.S., your coach was everything to you. You know, when I studied the martial arts, I had one instructor my whole time, one instructor. But today, your kid has a different coach every 6 weeks. He has a different trainer every week, because you come to grips and realize it's a business now. And you realize that everybody's trying to get their piece in that business. And the true love for the game and the true love of the development of a player is gone. I think you really have to look far and deep to find somebody that has that vision, that belief is, you know, I'm going to make a great living at what I do. I'm going to love what I do. And I'm going to develop as many athletes to the next level as I can. When you look at those great athletes, you can take a gymnast, you know, and you see a gentleman like Bella Carosi for so many years. How many gymnasts did he develop over so many years? When you look at collegiate sports and you look at the Bobby Bowdens, how many great players did he, you know, bring to the NFL? And I don't think that exists anymore. I think today we live in a world where people are just focused on making a dollar, because there's a lot of money in this industry, as I mentioned earlier. And I think a lot of people have taken the love away from it. So if I had to say the con, that would be the con. But the biggest pro would be the fact that it builds the family. It builds the family that you had many, many, many years ago, when you're able to engage in those sports and those practices with your children on a day-to-day basis. I think that's the biggest con.
Well, what you were saying.
Sorry.
All right, but what you were saying is something interesting, because we have two things that, in my vision, is so important. In this vision, every time you are making the things for your kid, or every parent that are trying to provide their kids a better situation, sometimes, or psychologically speaking, do you think that is something that you are doing for you through your kid, or only for your kid? Because it's the way to feel the realization through your kid. Because sometimes you have a lot of parents that they have a frustration to not achieve what they tried before.
Right.
And they use their kids to realize that, to achieve what they want. But it's not any time that the kids want to do what he wants to do.
And I agree. And I think over time, you're going to find that quite quickly. I think in sport today, the kids are faster, they're stronger. And if you're not able to keep up, that kid's not going to have an opportunity quickly. So I only believe a parent can live that dream for so long through their child. I think reality hits the kid a lot quicker these days. You know, there's too much competition out there. So that parent that is living their dreams through their child can only last for so long before reality hits. You know, because if the kid doesn't have that vision and doesn't have that passion for what they're doing, you're going to see it quite soon. It may take a little bit longer for some others because the parents are pushing them through it. But the reality is going to get to the point that the kids are just not able to keep up with the drive of the other individuals, the other kids that are working hard for it. I believe you'll see that, you know, in most cases by the time the kids get to high school.
Yes, because this is a kind of thing that when you said about the money involved in this structure, what we need to find a way that probably is the balance, just like you said, good coaches that you had before, we don't find anymore. People that they have the passion to teach, to develop, right, to make the people grow, to be better. And right now you have people trying only all the time to put to put only the hand on your pocket to get your dollar.
Right.
They are trying to in different ways to get your dollars.
Yeah.
This is the process. And how to put these things together and put in the balance to have the middle way to follow, not straight to the right, not straight to the left, but in the middle way. How do you think it's possible to do that?
I think it's hard. The way I look at it is this, you have to be involved, right? And by you being involved, it's going to force people to work harder because you're watching them, right?
Right.
So if you're that parent that is grooming that child for greatness, you know what's right and you know what's wrong. If you have a coach who's getting to practice 20 minutes late and he's telling you that you got to be there at 5 o'clock, that's telling me I got the wrong guy for the job. Because the first thing you need to teach an athlete is discipline, right?
Yeah.
You need to teach them to be disciplined. They have to be disciplined. And if the coach is not disciplined enough, I think they're quite easy to weed them out quickly. There's no governing body, right, that says we're going to govern how people coach kids in sport. There's none. So I think that governing body is you yourself, the parent. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. You know what it takes to be great at anything. It takes hard work, dedication, commitment. And if the coaches don't have that, you definitely know you got the wrong guy. I don't think there's a governing body that can manage that, to be honest with you. I think it's just a parent, constantly looking, constantly being involved and making sure that the kid is gaining progression as time goes on with that one coach.
Well, because this is connected with the question that I have for you now. Yeah. In America, most things cost money for you to do it.
Correct.
How expensive is for the family or parents to invest in their children's career to become an athlete if you have this kind of situations?
Well, it's hard. I'll be completely honest with you. I often ask myself, how do a lot of the parents do it? But I think great talent, great passion, and great drive at one point will be noticed, right? So you can put 20 kids on the field and they can be 12 years old. That kid that loves what he does and is passionate about what he does, it's going to be shown on that field. And it's hard pressed that somebody's going to sit back and say, I don't believe this kid has it. He has all the intangibles.
Look, I will confess one thing. We had this experience because Adriano that you are seeing here, he's younger than me. And when he started to play baseball, one coach said, hey, stop to play. You have no future as a player. Can you imagine how deep it's for a kid to listen to this? But he pursued, but he pursued everything and he became a pro in the baseball. That people one day told you that he was not a guy to be playing that. Right. And the most curious thing is, in that time, to serve at the national team in Brazil, he must to pay for the confederation to be part of the team. To serve the country, you need to pay to serve the country. It does not make any sense. As a poor guy we were at the time, my father had no conditions, financial conditions to pay anything, including sometimes to have equipment for the glove, for the spike, because baseball is too expensive. It's much more than basketball.
It's quite expensive. It's quite expensive.
Look, but he brought something different. He pursued We did all of things to work together as a family. We united ourselves and put him on the road, and he was trying to achieve what he got. But what you're saying is the same thing.
Yeah.
We have people that they don't have any sense of how to treat a kid, because sometimes you have a kid that 12 years old, 15 years old, they don't have any mature enough to achieve, because maybe 6 months later or 1 year later, he boom, blew up and he became a new athlete.
Right.
And so big athlete. Because I remember some histories, if you will allow me to tell you, I had an opportunity to work with Andres Rayner, and this guy developed the professional baseball in Venezuela. And one day, traveling from Sao Paulo to the countryside in the car, he started to tell me the history. He said, Edno, I started the first academy, the pros academy was the Houston Astros Academy in Venezuela. And when he started this, he had the budget for the whole year, $16,000 to keep himself, his family, and the whole organization starting, including signing bonus. Can you imagine how tough work? And he said one day he had an opportunity to see a kid, and this kid was really, really good, and reported, hey, we need to sign this kid. Nobody gave him an answer. He said, report again, we need to sign this kid. He tried 4 times and nobody signed this kid, okay? After that, he was so tired, but he saw the potential and he was a really human being. And he said, I will send you to check it out with a friend of mine in other organization. Look, he sent a guy that he had on his hand to another organization. And he said, and he sent the kid to another organization. And in that organization, his friend called him and say, hey, what is the trick? He said, trick? Yes. Why you send me this kid and you not signed him? And said, there's no trick. Unfortunately, my organization is not understanding what I'm saying. And he said, really? He said, yes, it is. Can you imagine who is this guy?
No idea.
Maglio Ordóñez.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So many histories that he told me, including one day we can spend the night talking about this,
Right.
but he told me a lot of history like this, what happened to him in Venezuela.
Wow. Sad, sad. They're lost. They didn't have a vision.
Well, this is the kind of problem to the, and you know who is Maglio Ordóñez. I hope that one day he can see this interview and he can share more details on this.
Yeah. Wow. It's a shame, isn't it?
Well, it is, but that's okay.
Hopefully we can make an impact on this in the future.
For sure we will.
Yeah.
Well, man, unfortunately, everything good is short. Leave it, and unfortunately, we must go. But before we go, Tony, could you give us your final thoughts?
Final thought. My goal for this new year is, once this pandemic is over, to continue to pursue the level 5 concept in Brazil and Latin America. I will find a way. I will find the people that have the belief in which we have to pursue this. I don't believe, everything in life doesn't come easy, right? So, as I said it before, every great organization has the right people. I believe we as an organization have the right people. We have a legal team together. We have an operations team together, put together with level 5. I just believe we have to continue to knock down doors, keep educating those investors and business-minded people the opportunity and the potential for business in Brazil. The opportunity is huge. It's huge. And you asked me my first question, I think it was, and I said the first word, I said huge. I do believe that Brazil and Latin America is huge opportunity for anyone that has a good amount of experience in fitness. With that being said, it's a shame, but I think anything is possible. I believe you got to find a delegation that's willing to go to those different educational branches and the government. And, sometimes you have to show people. You have to show people what you're talking about and show them how the world around them is leading and progressing. And a country with the size that Brazil has, there's so much potential. But you have to have that vision. And I just believe you have to have the right people that have that energy, have that vision to, present that to the proper authorities. And I do believe that there is a change for Brazil and Latin America. I really do.
We at AES Sports Legacy Channel appreciate the care and the participation of all of you viewers. We want to thank you, Tony, for accepting our invitation and coming to participate with us in the Vivências do Sports program. We also would like to thank you, our supporters, TBF Consultoria, VMAX Suplemento, the cultural support of Casa 123, IP Afro, and the CBO channel that broadcasted our program to Oceania, Asia, Eastern Europe, part of the African continent, part of Western Europe, and the Caribbean. Always with the goal to inform, debate, encourage, and entertain, the Vivência do Sport program wishes everyone an excellent night and a week full of achievements and good reflections on everything that was presented tonight. But don't be sad. Next Monday, we'll be back with another great guest. Please don't forget, subscribe the channel, activate the bell, give that like, that is very important to us. Follow us on our social media that are in video description. Again, good night and see you all next Monday.